Now that we're done with the conditional statements and also the looping statements, let's go ahead and work with some commonly faced problems with respect to these two. Now we'll go through this set of problems to understand more about the conditional statements and the looping statements. So also these are the most commonly occurred problems which you'll learn as a beginner. So this is our first problem over here. So over here we are trying to see if the number taken is an even number or an odd number. So this is what we're doing over here. So we'll start off by entering a number. So to enter a number or to take a number as an input in Python, we'll be using this input method. So we'll type enter a number and we will convert whatever is written into an integer type and we will store that in this num variable. Now once that is done, using the if condition we are checking when we divide this number by 2 whether the remainder is equal to 0. So this percent symbol which you see, this is for the remainder. So when num%2 is equal to 0, we are checking if the remainder is equal to 0 when we divide the number with 2. And if that is the case, it is an even number. Right? It's simple, isn't it? So you take a number and when you divide the number with 2, if the remainder is 0, it's an even number. So if that is not the case, if it evaluates to false, we'll just print out the number is odd. So let me click on run over here and I'll give in a number. So let's say I'll type in 5. We get that 5 is odd, and this happens because when we give in 5 over here, we are dividing 5 with 2 and we get a remainder of 1. And since the remainder is 1, we'll print out 5 is odd. Similarly, I click on run again. Now let me give in 8. Now when I give in the number 8, I divide it with 2 and the remainder is 0. And since the remainder is 0, what I get is this result over here, right? Num is even. So this is extremely easy. Now we'll head on to the next problem. So now we'll take a number and we'll check if the number is positive, negative or 0. So this time again we'll type in enter a number. So we'll have this input method over here and we will convert the input into a floating type. And we will store this in this variable named num. After that is done, we have this if, else and elif ladder. So we'll start off by checking if num is greater than 0. So if num is greater than 0, we'll just print out positive number. Else if number is not greater than 0, then we'll check if number is equal to 0. And if number is exactly equal to 0, we'll just print out 0. On the other hand, else, so we'll print out a negative number. I'll click on run. Now let me give in a number over here. So let me give in a positive number. So let's say the number is 8. I'll hit enter. So it's a positive number, right? So 8 is greater than 0. This evaluates to true and I'm just printing out positive number. Now similarly, I'll give in 0 over here. Now when I give in 0, this condition evaluates to false. So I'll head down to the second condition and I'm checking if num is equal to 0. And that is why I get 0 over here. Now let me give in a negative value over here. So I'll type in -5. So this time, let me actually run this again over here. So I'll click on stop. I'll actually restart the kernel and let me wait till it properly restarts. So now let me click on run and I'll give in a negative value. So I'll type in -5 over here and we see that we get the result to be negative number. That is because the first condition evaluates to false because num is not greater than 0. Then we go to the second condition and we check if num is double equal to 0. Even this evaluates to false. Then since both of these conditions evaluate to false, we just print out the whatever is written in the final else clause, which is negative number. So this is how we can find out if the given number is positive, negative or a 0. Now after this, we have something known as a factorial of a number. So in your 5th or 6th standard, so basically in your high school, you would have learned about something known as a factorial. So factorial is basically a number multiplied with itself till you reach 1. So what is 5 factorial? 5 factorial would be 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1 and that would evaluate to 120. So I'll just type it out. So let's say if it is 5 factorial. So this is how you basically represent a 5 factorial or any factorial. So 5 factorial would be 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, right? So again, if it's a 10 factorial, then all you have to do is just put in the other numbers. So 10 into 9 into 8. So this will be 8 into 7 into 6. And then you will put in an into symbol again over here, right? So this is 10 factorial over here. So basically factorial of any number would be n into n minus 1 into n minus 2 into n minus 3 till you reach 1 over there. Now let's say if you're given a number and you would want to find out the factorial through programming, especially through Python, then this is the way to do it. So you'll start off by assigning a variable or taking a variable. So over here you are assigning the value 1 to this variable factorial. Now this is done. After this is done, what you have to do is you have to check if num is less than or equal to 0. So this is where you will actually take in a number. So let me take in a input value over here. So let me cut it out and let me paste it over here, right? So I take in a number and I store it over here. So let's say what is stored over here is actually 5, right? So first we'll check if 5 is less than 0. So let me actually just write it out over here. So I'll just check. So let me take this pen. So my first condition would be to check if 5 is less than 0. Now this obviously evaluates to false, and since this evaluates to false, I'll come to this condition over here, elif num is equal to 0. So I'll check if 5 is double equal to 0. Now is this true? No, this is again false. So again I'll come down to the final else clause. So over here for I in range, which is going from 1 till num plus 1. So what is my num? It is 5. And what is num plus 1? It is 6. Now what happens in range is basically it is exclusive. So when you put in num, so it will be basically range of, so it will be 1, and if you just put in num over here, which will be 5. So this will only go from 1 to 4. But since we have to include 5 as well, that is why you will type in num plus 1 over here, right? So we have this for loop which will basically start from 1 and will go on till 5. Now inside this for loop, so let me actually remove all of this over here. Now inside this, what I'm doing is I have this factorial whose initial value is 1 and I'm multiplying factorial into I. So let me just write it out. So initially factorial value is equal to 1 and over here I is also equal to 1. So when you multiply factorial into 1, so that will be f is equal to 1 into 1, which is equal to 1, right? So f, you have 1. Now once this is done, you go back inside this. Now i's value is incremented, so I becomes 2 over here. So when I becomes 2, again you come inside and f is equal to 1 into I, which will be 2. So now you have 2 stored in f. Again you head back, and when you head back, I becomes 3. So now again this is still in range. So now i's value is 3. So this time you have over here, so f is 1 into 2, and then you are multiplying it with 3 over there, right? So because f is equal to f into I, so this becomes 2 into 3. Again you head back over there, so i's value becomes 4. Now you have f is equal to 2 into 3, and then you multiply it with I. So this now becomes f is equal to 2 into 3 into 4. Now finally you head back and then you have I value which equals to 5. So f becomes 2 into 3 into 4 into 5, right? And then when you finally increment it, it becomes 6, and that is when you come out of the loop. So basically 5 into 4 into 3 into 2, it will give you a value of 120. Now let me actually remove this out. Let me click on run over here, right? So let me just put in 5 and right, so let me actually take it to be an integer over here and not a float. Now let's see what do we get. So I'll put in 5 over here, right? So now we see that the factorial of 5 is 120. Now similarly I'll click on run again. Let me see what is the factorial of 10. So again let me stop this and let me restart the kernel once. Right, so I'll click on run and let me give in a value of 10 over here, right? So this is 10 factorial. So guys, the concept is simple over here. So all that we are doing is factorial is equal to factorial into I. So let me just take this. So I'll remove all of this from over here. Yeah. So I'll just type in fact is equal to fact into I. Initially, I'll have to fact and I. Initially fact value is 1 and I value is 1. So 1 cross 1 becomes 1. Now after that, fact you have 1, I's value becomes 2. So when you do fact into I, you get a fact value of 2. Now I's value becomes 3. So fact into I becomes 2 into 3. This I's value is again incremented. It becomes 4. Now when you do fact into I, it becomes 2 into 3 into 4. Now it is incremented to be 5. Now when you do fact into 5, it becomes 2 into 3 into 4 into 5, right? So this is the entire concept of factorial. Let me just erase all of this again so that we can go ahead to the other parts. Now let's start by understanding the concept of how to reverse a number. Let's say we taken a number over here. So n equals 123. So we have this number. Now our task is to make it 321. So let's see how can that be done. So again, we have another variable over here, which is reverse. Now we'll go into the while loop and we are checking if n is greater than 0. So is 123 greater than 0? That is true. So we'll come inside the loop and then we've got another variable which is dig. So I'll type in dig over here and dig is equal to n%10. So when you divide n, which is 123 with 10, you get a remainder of 3. So you have 3 over here. Now after that, you are basically going at this statement where rev equals rev into 10 plus dig. So initially rev value is 0. So 0 into 10 is 0 plus dig, which becomes 3. So 0 plus 3 is 3 again. So you have 3 in reverse. Now you will come to the next part where you are dividing the same number with 10. So n is equal to n by 10. So 123 divided by 10, you will get a value of 12, right? So we are done with the first process where initially we had taken the digit value. So n%10, we got a value of 3. And then we got the reverse value of 3. And then we divided n with 10 and then we got 12 over there. Again, we'll check if n is greater than 0. Right, so now n is equal to 12 and this is obviously greater than 0. Now we'll come inside and then we will again divide this n value with 10 and we'll take the remainder. So when you divide 12 with 10, you get a remainder of 2 and you will store that in digit again. Now we will go to this step where rev becomes rev into 10 plus dig. So this will be 3 into 10, which is 30. So 30 plus dig, so 30 plus 2, it becomes 32. So now you have 32 stored in rev. Now you will divide n by 10 and take in the quotient. So 12 divided by 10 gives you 1. So now you have 1 which is stored in n. So again, you will go back and check if 1 is greater than 0, which is true. So you will come inside and then you will divide 1 with 10 and you get a remainder of 1, right? So basically, if you have a single number and you divide it with 10, the remainder is the same number. So you have 1 over here, which is stored in dig. So let me write it properly over here. This is what is stored in digit. And now you will again do the same thing. So rev into 10 plus dig. So rev is 32. 32 into 10 will become 320 and 320 plus 1 will become 321. So you have 321 stored in rev. Now you will divide n with 10 over here. So when you divide 1 with 10, you'll get a quotient of 0. So now finally, when we check a 0 greater than 0, this is obviously evaluated to false and we will come out of the while loop and we'll finally print out reverse of the number is rev. And this is what is stored in 321. So initially we had started with 123. And by using this particular concept over here, we have reached to 321. So this is how we can reverse the digit. So now that we've seen how to reverse a number, let's see how to check if a number is a palindrome or not. So what do you understand by the term palindrome? Well, let's check it out. So basically, anything which is the same when it's read from the beginning as well as the end. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 2, 1 from the beginning, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 2, 1 from the end as well. So this is a palindrome number. Now, how do we check if a number is palindrome or not? Well, the concept is pretty much the same on how to reverse a number. So what you do is, you take a number and then you reverse it. And if the reversed number and the original number is the same, then you know that it is a palindrome. So I'll again explain the concept of this as well so that you have a better idea on how to reverse a number. So we had all of these over here. So we had N, and then we had REV, and then we had DIG over here. So let's say the number is 121. Now we have to check if it is a palindrome. So first, N is greater than 0, which is true. So now since this is true, I will come inside the body of while and I will take n% 10. So I'll basically take the remainder when n is divided by 10. So 121 divided by 10 gives me a remainder of 1, and I will store that remainder over here. After that, I will come to this statement where I'm multiplying rev with 10 and adding dig to it. So initial value of rev is 0. So 0 into 10 is 0 plus dig. So 0 plus 1 will become 1. So I've got 1 over here. Then I'll divide n with 10 and I'll take the quotient. So 121 divided by 10 will give me 12. I've got 12 stored over here. Now once this is done, I'll again head back and I'll check if 12 is greater than 0. Now this is true. I will come inside the while loop and I will divide 12 with respect to 10 and I will take the remainder. So when I divide 12 with 10, I get a remainder of 2 and I'll store the remainder over here. And after this, I will take this particular line, so rev into 10. So 1 into 10 will become 10. So 10 plus dig, so 10 plus 2 is 12. I've got 12 over here. Now I'll divide this value with 10 and I'll take the quotient, so it will become 1. Now again I'll check if 1 is greater than 0, which is again true, so I will come inside. And over here I am checking n% 10. So 1% 10, I get a remainder of 1, so I will store it over here again. Now rev into 10 plus dig, so 12 into 10 will become 120, so 120 plus 1 will become 121. Now after this, what I'd have to do is divide this with 10 and then it becomes 0, right? So now I'm just checking if the original value which I had stored in temp is also equal to this rev. So it seems that 121 is equal to 121, that is, the number is read the same from front and as well as the back. That is why 121 is a palindrome number. So just to be sure, I'll also run it over here. I'll click on run and let me just type in the numbers over here. So I'll just type in 121 and let me hit enter. So we see that the number is a palindrome. So next we have the Fibonacci series. So in Fibonacci series, we add the previous number with the current number to get the next number. So you've got 0 and 1. So when you add 0 and 1, you get 1. And when you add 1 plus 2, you get 3. When you add 3 plus 5, you get 8. When you add 8 plus 5, you get 13. So this is how the Fibonacci series progresses. Now let's say if you want one particular element in the Fibonacci series, so this is the program for that. So I'll click on run and show you the result first. So let's say if I want the fifth element in this Fibonacci series, I'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So let me just type in 5 over here. So we see that the fifth element is equal to 3. So if I've got 5, 6, 7. So let me type in 7 over here and let's see what is the seventh element. So the seventh element is 8. Now let's understand this concept properly over here. So initially we have A and B. So we have assigned A to be equal to 0 and B to be equal to 1, and we've taken the input number. So now this input number is basically that particular index for which we want the result, right? So I'll just type in A, B and C over here. Initial value of A is equal to 0, initial value of B is equal to 1. Now that these two are done, I will check this if condition. So I'm checking if n is equal to 0. So let's say if I want the fifth number, so 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, right? So is 5 less than 0? No. So that is why this is not evaluated, and then we'll check over here. So is 5 equal to 0? Again, this is evaluated to false. Now we'll come over here. So we'll check if 5 is equal to 1. Again, this is false. Now, since all of these are false, we'll come inside the final else statement and we'll go through this for loop. So for I in range of 2 to n. So this will go from 2, 3 and 4 because n value is 5, right? So I'll just write it down at the top of it. So we've got 2, we've got 3 and we've got 4 over here. Now for I in range of 2, 3 and 4, we've got c equals a plus b. So keep in mind, now the value of I is equal to 2. So this will be c is equal to a plus b, which will become 1. So let me just type in 1 over here. A becomes b, so this will be 1. B becomes c, this will be 1, and then we'll print out the value of b. So value of b becomes 1. Now we'll head back to this for loop. So now i's value, it becomes 3. So now i's value is 3. Again, we'll come inside this. So this time c is equal to a plus b, which will be 2. Then a becomes b, this is 1, and b becomes c, it is 2, and we'll print out b's value, which is 2. Now again we'll go back. So this time the i's value, it becomes 4, right? So when i's value is 4, again we'll come inside and c equals a plus b. So c equals a plus b, so 1 plus 2, it becomes 3. A equals b, it becomes 2, and b equals c, it becomes 3. And then we'll print out this value, which is basically 3. Again, when we go back, I value, it becomes 5. And when it is 5, we will come out of the loop, right? So that is how we've got this result 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So when n is given 5, we've got the result